Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pixel Related Podcast. This is episode 60, if I'm keeping track of what's going on, and I think I'm keeping track of what's going on.
I think that we should maybe talk about making us kind of remember to check the episode number before each episode.
I mean, the last.
So like we do it like every so often. We check the episode number,
right?
But then we don't.
But okay, but the notes that we had for the last episode that we did said 59, so I can do the math. Hold on here. This probably is episode 60.
Wait, are you also including are you including Game of the Year episodes? Is that a part of this mess?
Those were things. Those were things.
And are we including lost Game of the Year episodes?
That I don't. We are professionals. We have never lost anything. Not sure what you mean by that. Hey, it's episode 60. As always, I am your host, Kyle. Joining me today, we have Adam.
Kyle. Tranquilo. Asenayo.
I don't.
Look, you got to get on this Yakuza shit. You got to get on this Yakuza tip because we got to talk about Naito and how he's the coolest motherfucker in the world.
I'm working my way through Yakuza. Okay, I'm running around in the middle of the night comforting a baby. Yakuza stuff.
Look. I'm not saying that I'm out here talking about wrestling stuff. But I might have made a trip down to Chicago to the wrestling store.
To the wrestling
store. I'll say I spent less than I was expecting, so that's good.
Okay.
I got two LIJ things. Look, I got the hat. I got the Naito hat, and then I got the BC Chicago shirt. We're gonna get you to watch. We're gonna get you to watch NJPW this year. It's gonna happen.
This is all things that I understand. I can turn this around.
Wrestle Kingdom.
Adam, you've been paying attention to March Madness. They've had some crazy stuff going on in March Madness.
That one team won, and so now we get a free pizza from Little Caesar.
This is actually a true thing, yes, because it has never happened before in the history of the NCAA men's college basketball.
Yo, what you know about Braun Strowman? Now let's flip that shit right back.
And not joining us today is Gus, or maybe he's here with us in spirit. If you're watching the stream, we have Ghost Gus, of course, in the top corner, because they keep talking about it episode after episode, but I've yet to actually design a two-person version of our overlay. I should probably do that at some point. But that's neither here nor there. We have a ton of stuff to talk about.
Kyle, it'll happen around the time that we get to our best game of all time bracket that we set up 6 or 7 months ago.
Hey, you guys had no interest in doing that with me, and I can
I was fine with it. However, it's going to be really tough to do that with two people.
It is, because we kind of need a third person to break the to break a tie. Otherwise, you'll just have me screaming for what's a game that you don't like. I don't know. I can't even think of anything right now.
I mean, it's Red Dead, right? It's Red Dead.
It's Red Dead. Are you not Red Dead? Are you Red
No,
Dead?
It's Red Dead. No,
okay.
It's Red
Dead.
Well,
there you go. Okay, so that's it. That's the answer.
There we go.
Best game of the generation.
Cool.
Red.
All
well,
right.
I mean, let's be fair. Back in the days of Level Zero, before Pixel Related was a thing, you were on our podcast, right? Where we talked about the games of the generation. That crazy 4-hour podcast that we did, where we had everybody on. I think we had you on.
I believe it. Yeah, because that was that was getting the whole crew back.
Yeah. We had we had 8
or
9 people in that.
People. All right, cool.
That was good. And you know what won that? Red Dead won that as well. So that just goes to show you Red Dead is the best game of the last generation of consoles.
But also Burnout Paradise exists, so I don't know that we can say that.
You know what? I will say I don't think Burnout Paradise was even close to that list, if I remember right, because I don't think a lot of us are racing fans. Look, I like Burnout Paradise. Burnout Paradise is a good game. I am looking forward to checking out the remaster that just came out. But I am just not a racing game fan. My racing game fandom peaked with Need for Speed Underground 2, maybe? In the original Xbox? That's about where Like, I'm not saying that game is better than Burnout Paradise, and like that's probably like the last time that I was like really into racing games. You know, right around the time Fast and Furious, the first one came out, and I was able to buy the car that I had when I was in high school and trick it out and race with it, and you know, it was good times. You know, that was a time.
That's a good point. However, I could also buy a car that had 3 different types of boost. You just click the stick and it switches to its boost type. And you get the aggressive boost. You got the one that allows you to do the full burnout chain. It's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
5 more hours of this discussion, please.
Yeah. So Burnout Paradise is Game of the Year 2018. It wins all the categories, including Best New Character. Not sure how. There's no characters in that game.
Best music. I mean, it's got Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend. So, like,
all right. Yeah. No.
I love, by the way, that there are right now a bunch of grown-ass men talking about how much they love Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend online, just unrepentantly, because this song is fucking good. It's a good song.
You know what?
It's a hot jam.
Probably not
like
the only one.
2008.
Sure, that sounds about right. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds, yeah.
So, we have a lot of games to talk about, though, that are not racing games, that are not remasters of games from many, many years ago. Because embargoes have lifted, games have come out. Many games have come out. Some came out today, for example. And Adam may or may not have almost gotten a chicken dinner in one of those games.
Fucking shit, are you kidding me? Number 2 on my first game, and it's my own goddamn fault that I didn't do it, because it was like me and him, and we were like in the final circle, and I saw him. The problem is that you're playing on a mobile pad, and let's just say the touch controls don't really fucking work that well.
Weird.
Like, they're very finicky, as it turns out. It's really tough to get accurate aim.
So what Adam's talking about is PUBG Mobile, which came out today on iOS, later on Android. Oh, it did come
Android
out on both?
and iOS.
What's the thing that's not coming out? I don't know. Maybe is it Fortnite then? Something was just announced that it's coming to iPhone first.
Fortnite just randomly came out last week, and then this came out this week. I don't know. I don't think there's any connection.
Totally.
I mean, yeah, PUBG is free to play on Android, so I'm sure it's totally related.
Can we take a second and just talk about how like we were like 3 months ago, we were doing Game of the Year stuff, and we were kind of crapping on Fortnite about how it didn't belong to conversations, how it wasn't that good of game, and now somehow Fortnite is like the biggest thing on the internet, and Drake is out doing Twitch streams and breaking records and crazy stuff with Fortnite. And I still don't really like Fortnite when I've tried it. I tried it some more.
I don't like Fortnite that much. I like their reward system. I think their loot stuff is significantly better than PUBG's is, but I don't like the feel of that game. Like I went back and then I played a little bit of it like last night, and I was like, oh, this is like still a bit too fast, a little bit too like I don't necessarily
too furious. Is it also too furious?
I have a ton of investment with it. No, it's a bit Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
So not great, but no. So I don't like that game. I don't like playing that game. But like, it's insane. It's crazy. It's taken over the world. That's cool. Like that's. I think it really sucks if you bought that game. Like I think that's not great if you paid the money for it.
I should go check out what actual regular Fortnite is again, because Lord knows I haven't touched that since like last summer, when I messed around with it a little bit.
I don't think they've done much to it in the way of updating that stuff. And I think they're still saying like it's going to be free whenever it's finished. But hey, I get this feeling that shit's back burner right now, like in the most unimaginable way possible.
Yeah. I guess Fortnite's free, right? So I mean that probably and it's available on all the consoles. Where PUBG is still $30 and it's only available on Xbox and a PC. That probably plays a big part.
But whatever. Like it's still admirable that PUBG is like in that like probably number 2 spot at this point, and it's charging like a not insignificant amount.
And it's still, like, I was looking at the Steam charts the other day, and it's still way above Dota 2. Like, Dota 2, I don't know if Dota 2 is just falling off that much, but, like, when I was looking at it, like, the peak concurrent was, like, 800,000 for Dota, and PUBG was, like, 2.6 million or something. Like, it was way over it for that whatever random day I was looking at it. So PUBG is still really, really popular. It's just Fortnite seems to be taking over in a broader sense of, you know, like, I talk to people and, like, they talk about, oh yeah, I've been playing Fortnite, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, like the battle royale, like, you know, it's really just, for me, like, I can see why people like Fortnite, because it has a very much easier, just like pick up and play and get in. Oh, you died, oh cool, back out, load back in. Like, it's really quick to get you to it. Like, even like the timer where you're walking around waiting to like drop out of the bus, it's like 15 seconds fast. Where it's like a minute and a half or whatever on PUBG. Like, it's really good at getting you in and getting you out.
Like, I mean, it's also like they don't explain anything to you in PUBG, and there's a lot of stuff you need to know about, like bullet drop and like what your range is, and learning that stuff. It feels like there's a little bit more freedom with that. I know they've sort of remodeled the shooting of Fortnite over the past whatever amount of time, but yeah, like it's insane to me that this game kind of blew up as big as it did. I think, you know, it's cool. Like, I think it's cool to see, and it's this PUBG Mobile is like a straight up shot right across that nose of like, hey, you guys beat us to the free to play thing, but we're going to be out on Android right away as well. So you see, yeah, like, this thing has been out in some territories for a few months, I think, and it's like Tencent is like, I think Tencent is handling it pretty much in China, instead of it being like the PUBG corporation. It's largely the same PUBG.
That's crazy.
Which is not good, because those maps are already too large on a console and on a computer. So when you're sitting there for half an hour with a phone, and a lot of that game is waiting if you're in solos, it's not great. Like, it's admirable because it's a very like super pared down, like lowest possible, you know, potato settings essentially of PUBG, with some like kind of nice things of like, okay, you know, you touch the map up in the corner, you can just set waypoints by touching to it. You know, all of your controls are just touch of like, okay, open the door. You see a list of everything that's on the ground instead of having to go into the menu to like pick up specific things. So you can just kind of like tap and pick them up. So that's really cool. There's also like big warnings of like the red zone is active, or the circle is closing. It's very, very visual, very much showing you like, hey, this shit's going down. There's some weird sound stuff with it right now that I noticed, because I was in a building. I went to school, and I was sitting there, and outside of the building there was like a really loud like tuk, 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 and I couldn't tell if it was somebody shooting or if it was supposed to be somebody walking. It's got some weird sound stuff, and considering how important that shit is with that game, it's kind of a mess. You know, like, it's free. They've also like added in a lot of stuff of like, hey, here's daily login bonus, or hey, here's a ranking system based on how many points you gathered from this last match, and so you'll get some amount of unlocks for leveling up your character as well. So there's actually some more progression in the mobile version that is not in the PC version, which is insane to me.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't have like, I came out of that match and I like was able to get my first crate, and then on top of that I was like, okay, well, you've completed these two challenges for the day, so now you get some amount of BP back. And it's like, why is that there on the worst version of it?
Yeah, and not in the best version,
in the PC or the consoles. Like, it's insane to me.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I can see just from the outside that Fortnite really has on PUBG is that, like, oh, they're running, like, winter events, and they have all of these, like, hey, level up and buy this stuff and earn enough points for this season. Like, they got so much, like, background progression, earning points stuff going on, and PUBG seems so vanilla and bare by comparison. I mean, like, we were just talking about this before the show, but they added achievements into PUBG, and that's really cool because I looked at the list and there's some really interesting stuff in there that's talking about, doing, some of it's just like, hey, get chicken dinners, kill people, whatever. But then there's stuff about, like, running people over with cars or having, like, a level 3 of everything equipped at the same time. Like there's interesting stuff in there that, like, again, same thing, I guess. I mean, it's not still tied into what's going on in PUBG. And PUBG's, they've added more, like, outfits and cosmetics. There's, like, what is it they added? Like, biker stuff and, like, throwback, like, 80s, like, costumes and stuff. Like, they're adding stuff to it, but it still doesn't have the, like, hook.
All behind the locked crates.
Right, yeah.
Too,
and
right?
it just doesn't have the hook to keep you going for stuff like daily login bonuses and daily challenges and, it's just, it's kind of crazy. And, that's, like, Fortnite has that type of stuff. Or other, lots of other games have that stuff. It's weird that they would put that in the free-to-play thing, but not put that in the thing that you actually pay money for.
And you hope, right? Like, you hope that this is, their testing ground for that stuff, right? Like, okay, we don't necessarily want to roll it out to even the test servers, but maybe we want to try something out. You hope that's the case. I don't know. I would love to see this sort of stuff because it does make the actual playing of it feel a little bit more like you're getting something by the end of it. I don't foresee myself playing more than, like, maybe one more game with that mode of it, but it's cool. It's like, as a free to play thing, it's wild that it exists. It's wild that it's the full map. The controls don't work great, so I think if you had, like, a Bluetooth controller, you could probably fix some of that stuff. I know that, like, a lot of people were talking about, like, Fortnite's controls on iOS, like, seem like they're pretty okay. I haven't had the chance to check that out because our iPad is pretty old. So
still comes down to, like, movement and aiming and stuff like that. Like, that's always going to be like on-screen dual stick controls. Like, no matter what other type of UI enhancements you make to, like, oh, it's really easy to access the map and pick up stuff. Like, still just the actual, like, moving around and trying to shoot people seems like it's going to be a pain. I don't know. The screenshot you sent me, you got 2 kills, so.
I did. Well, it was kind of wild because I got a kill, a pretty, like, long distance kill with a scope, which was kind of interesting. But then also the kill that I got, like, right before that was I was running into the circle as the wall was moving behind me, and then a guy comes up behind me and starts shooting, and I just sort of sprayed just into the bushes, and I eventually got him. One thing I will mention about the controls, it really sucks that they put you're holding your screen like this, your movement sticks over here, your fire button is right in here, but also if you have to move your camera, you have to, like, use your thumb pad. You have to use your thumb to essentially, like, track where you're aiming. But sometimes that shot button is really finicky. So sometimes you might be, like, moving your thing and trying to get, like, the right angle, and oh shit, I shot. Now they know that I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's a big problem in PUBG. Like, that shouldn't be
giving away your position is not so good. Not so good.
That's an issue.
Man, I worked today. I had not heard that it came out until you sent me that message. I'm probably gonna download that, check it out, and I'll probably do the same thing you did. I'll probably play 1 or 2 matches. But that does not seem like the type of thing I want to play on mobile at all. No. Like,
you know what though? Like, I think if you're going out and you're like, I don't know if I want to buy this thing fully.
Sure.
There's also, from what I could tell, no microtransactions.
Okay.
Which I'm sure that will be changed. But so far it was just like, hey, here are your events. Here's the stuff that's locked away. They also, another thing that's really nice that I wish they did in PUBG proper is when you're looking to see what all your gear is, they will show you everything that's in the item pool. And then it'll be like, hey, this item that you got unlocked is highlighted. So you kind of see like, oh, okay, this is what I could get instead of going to like a wiki and seeing like, hey, these are the items that are in this crate or in this thing. So that's kind of nice.
I mean, there's stuff like that is in PUBG. You have to kind of dive pretty deep into menus to see like everything that comes in a crate. And I want to say somewhere there's even like it even shows like the percentages and stuff like that of their likelihood to drop or something like that. But you have to like go into the crate, click on the crate, click like the question, like the tiny little question mark in the bottom corner or something like that. Like it's in there. So because I've looked at that stuff before and gone like, oh, like that mini skirt is like a 0.05% chance to drop, and I'm like, well, okay, that's just never gonna happen, or you have to be incredibly lucky, as people are. Yeah, so that's PUBG Mobile. If you want to check it out, it's free to play and it's available on the only cell phones that matter. Apologies to Windows Phone, which is not a thing anymore. Let's take a look here. We got a bunch of stuff that we have been playing. I'm going to talk about something that I have been playing, which is a game that kind of came out of completely nowhere. I'm talking about Warhammer Vermintide 2, which is a sequel to a game that I literally have never heard of. And I don't know how I have never heard of it, because it's basically a Left 4 Dead clone.
It's just Left 4 Dead.
And I love Left 4 Dead so much. Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, both fantastic games. Always kind of looked for games that kind of filled that void. Like I got pretty hardcore for some reason into Payday for a while. And like, you know, that didn't quite do it. Like I've tried the games kind of like that. But I, just kind of on a whim, and after watching videos and reading reviews about Vermintide 2, I thought I would check it out. I don't really care much, or I shouldn't say I don't care. I don't really know anything about like Warhammer lore. Like I understand that like Vermintide is some type of like end of the world event in the like medieval version of Warhammer, not the Warhammer 40K.
It's them going, hey, we can't legally trademark orcs, so we should make some new shit and get rid of those orcs because we want to be able to copyright them. At least that was my understanding when Vermintide 1 came out, because this was like part of their big push to change everything about the Warhammer, I guess you could call it vanilla Warhammer stuff.
Yeah, so Warhammer Vermintide 2, it's man, it is really just Left 4 Dead. However, on top of just being Left 4 Dead, it's all so because it's like medieval times. It's all like dwarves and elves and whatnot. It's primarily a melee game, and with some range stuff in there. But range just definitely takes a backseat to melee stuff for most of the characters. There are, unlike something like Left 4 Dead, there are actual different classes who have completely different abilities. There is a sorcerer, there is a like an elven archer, there is a human like a guy who's mostly DPS. There's a dwarf, that's who I've been because he's kind of a tank, and that's really fun because this game's really hard and not dying is really helpful. And then there is what do they call it? Like a witch hunter who's kind of like a mixture of various different things. But so these 5 classes have different abilities, different weapons that they use, and then within each of those 5 classes, as you level them up, that's right, there is actual like leveling and loot in this game. There are like 3 different subclasses that you can unlock that have their own special abilities and stuff like that within that class. So it's like Left 4 Dead, like married with Destiny, stuff. Because you are leveling up, you are getting loot. In this instance, you're getting loot boxes when you complete missions or when you level up. And then you have to rank up your subclass. Every weapon that you get, it's not just like, hey, I got my old hammer was 27, now this hammer is 65. Yes, there is basically the exact same equivalent of a light level in Vermintide 2. But like the weapon that you get, I mean, if it's a hammer and it's a new hammer, it's going to be the same type of hammer. But there are multiple different types of weapons for each class. So for example, for my dwarf, there are axes. Axes are really good against things that are armored. But then you'll have certain axes that will have a wider spread that can have like a greater area of effect when you swing it. There's hammers. There's all kinds of stuff, and there's a whole variety of different ranged weapons that you can get, from like bow and arrows to like pistols to like I have now using like a flamethrower type weapon. It's really fun. Like it is like it's exactly like if Valve had ever gotten around to actually making games, which apparently there's rumors that they might start making games again.
There's always those rumors.
Well, but like Gabe Newell said something about like what is that new game coming out? The Dota card game. I forget what it's called.
The Dota card game.
The Dota card game, which has a name.
Artifact.
Yeah. Like there's something he said like this is like the first of like a new line of like games we're developing, and I was like, wait, no, you're Valve. You guys don't make games anymore. I don't know if anyone told you. But if they had like made a Left 4 Dead 3, like this is the type of stuff that I maybe would have hoped they would have done that, like getting more into differentiating between the different characters that you can select, having some type of progression from level to level, where Left 4 Dead is basically like Left 4 Dead's really fun, but it was basically about, hey, like go through and play these on easy or normal, kind of get used to the ins and outs of each level, and then kind of just improve your personal skill to do them at harder levels, and that was about the gist of the game. And so some people are not interested in that at all because they want to have something that, you know, actually has a reason to go back and keep playing it. And this game totally has that. As you were going through, if you beat the level, you get a loot box that opens up and you get 3 items, and that's could be weapon, it could be various other things that can improve your overall light level, can have various different like stat bonuses and stuff on them. And your actual character himself is leveling up, which is more health, and then as you level up, you unlock, you can unlock different abilities and stuff like that for your character, as well as different classes that you can do. Like, it's really cool. It's hard though. It's really hard. Like, I've been playing on the lowest level, which is recruit, and like my dwarf is level 9. I have no idea what the max level cap is or anything like that. And like his like light level is 140 something. And you're supposed to tackle, or you unlock the normal mode at, I think, when you get to 100 power. But the base level will still just completely wreck you sometimes. Because it is exactly Left 4 Dead. So there are special creatures that will grab you and pull you away. Like in Left 4 Dead, it was the smoker or the hunter, and it has pretty much the exact same type of things in this game, except it's a magic orc guy, or there's lots of rats. The Vermintide is like rats people. So there's lots of rat people in this game, but same type of thing where it's like, oh, there's a big monster that is basically a tank, and everyone has to kind of stop and focus fire, or focus melee, I guess in this instance, and try to take that thing down, and things can go real bad for you. And I tried my hand at normal mode and just got completely wrecked. So apparently I need to go back and play, I think normal mode's actually called veteran, but I need to go back and play some recruit some more to level up and do stuff. The levels are also really long. Like, so each level in the game is about, I would say, a half an hour to 45 minutes. And it's unlike something like Left 4 Dead, it's not broken up into sections, or maybe it is, you could say it is broken up into sections, but each of those sections is about that long, where like an actual like playthrough of a Left 4 Dead like campaign would take you like an hour and a half. Like, there's 3 different campaigns, and each section, of which I think there are 5 sections in each one, 4 or 5 sections, they're all about 45 minutes long. So there is a lot of game here. There's a lot of different maps. There's a lot of different stuff to do. There are, mechanics just like Left 4 Dead, where you have to turn this thing that's going to make a horde of enemies come and try to attack you, and you got to hold your own until it's done. And there's bosses that are in there, like actual name bosses that have special, but like, it's exactly what I wanted in like another Left 4 Dead game. And it's only $30. So it really seems like what you get for it is pretty cool. It's only on Steam. I don't know if there's plans to bring it to consoles or anything like that. But I am really enjoying my time with it. I'm playing like an hour or 2 a night, amongst all the other stuff I'm playing. But it's super fun.
How does the melee feel? Like, I know, like, what's the game? The Chronicles of Riddick. That's like I used to say gold standard of first person combat. Like, does it feel weighty? Does it feel like you're connecting, or does it take like a lot of getting used to?
I mean, I don't know about that. Like, it's like they're not zombies, but they might as well be zombies. Like there are varying different like levels of enemies that you're doing, and some of them are basically just cannon fodder. And like if you have a weapon that has like a wide range on it, like it will just sweep through and just like take off. Like it's a very bloody and gory game, I should point out. But it will just take out like 3 or 4 guys in one swipe if they're kind of weak. And so like it does feel very satisfying. Like you can tell like you're cleaving off like legs and arms and heads and stuff like that as you're killing people. And if it's something that is armored, it has a good like feedback of like you're not doing enough damage on this guy, or you're hitting their shield or whatever it is. It feels really good. I've enjoyed the ranged stuff less so. Like this is very much a melee game. For a lot of characters, the ranged, like you have actual ammo that you have to deal with, for many characters. And so the ammo seems like it's kind of hard to come by in some instances. But I think certain characters, like they get a lot more ammo. Like I think like the Elven Archer, I think she gets tons of arrows, and I haven't really messed with her all that much. But luckily the dwarf now, he gets, the weapons I just unlocked for him are like heat-based weapons, so basically you just have to make sure you don't use them too much, otherwise they will burn up and explode, instantly downing you. But I mean, I think it's a good change of doing melee combat, because it's, you know, it's the type of thing like you can block really easily because you got a weapon in your hand, or you have a sword and shield sometimes, depending on what your loadout is, and you can kind of do the push people back, which kind of staggers them, and then you can kind of dive in and attack. It's a lot of stuff going on, because basically when you got 4 people and they're all just swinging their swords or axes or whatever wildly, like maybe sometimes hard to tell if you killed that person or if the other person killed that person. But they throw hundreds of enemies at you. Like at the end of a match, like I've had anywhere from like 80 to 250 kills in a single match, and everyone else is around the same type of level. So they're throwing a lot of people at you, and so a lot of it's just you're killing lots of people, but then they will throw in people in every, you know, that are more difficult, or you have to like aim for the head. Like there's definitely a lot of like where you attack them matters, like especially if they have armor or something like that, because you can kind of tell like whether you're doing damage, whether you're not doing damage. It's good. I should also say they do another really cool thing, where instead of it just being like straight through Left 4 Dead levels, there are also like secrets in every level that you can find, and they're always in the same place every time. So like once you kind of know where they are or look them up, how you do, finding them will net you like bonus experience towards what type of loot box you get it. So like if you beat the level, you get a loot box, but then like the stuff that you collect along the way will like level up your loot box to get you even better loot. But they all come at a price of like, if you pick up, like there's tomes that you have to find, and there's 3 of them in a level. So if I pick up a tome, I can't hold a healing item at the same time. So it's like this like risk reward thing of like, oh, like I picked up this tome, now I can't pick up a healing item. Or if we get to a healing item, pick up a healing item, heal real quick, then pick up the tome again. And then there's grimoires, which are the same type of thing, except holding one lowers the health of everyone in your party, and those give you an even bigger modifier. And so you can pick 2. You can pick 2 of those up, but if you go through and you have 2 of those up, you have half health of what you originally do. But they give you a giant bonus to like what type of loot you can get it. So there's, you know, like there's some really cool stuff. I haven't been playing with friends because I think there's only a couple people on my friends list who actually have this game. But I've been playing just quick play, just, you know, hopping in with random people, and sometimes you get a group of people that has no idea what they're doing and you get slaughtered, and sometimes you get with that type of group who you just kind of go through no problem, and it's not a big deal. Just like any other co-op game, if you're playing with random people, you know, Left 4 Dead, Destiny, etc. But it's really good for $30. It's been well worth my time. I've been really enjoying it.
Shit.
Cool.
You want to talk about the other game you've been playing, or?
Yeah, we could talk about the other game I've been playing before we move on.
Because the other 2, we've kind of both been picking
played.
at.
And I'm disappointed in you, Adam, that you have not checked out Into the Breach.
I need to sit down and have time, because like FTL, I kind of needed to have time in order to do that. I can't. Look, I have time for Warframe. I have time for Yakuza.
You need to cut down the Warframe. This is fine. Just leave.
No. Look, like when I went to the relay, there was a guy in there who had 580 hours into it. So like, if anything, I need to be pumping that shit.
Yeah, so
I got frames to fucking make, son. I've got a lot of frames I got to get made. I got to try to get those Rhino Prime parts, man. Like that shit's vaulted. Can't get that shit easily.
Yeah, so I've been playing a crap ton as well of Into the Breach, which Adam, as you kind of hinted in there, is by the same people who made FTL. FTL is honestly not a game I really got super into, but something about Into the Breach has just really grabbed me. So it, like FTL, it's a game about runs. So you are time traveling mech pilots is who you control in this game, and humanity is fighting after giant Godzilla-sized bugs, and so you have to get your Pacific Rim mechs out. And it's not, they could totally call it a Pacific Rim game. I'm glad they didn't, though. It's probably better for it to be its own thing.
It's better, it's better that you didn't do a Pacific Rim job on that thing.
I just caught. That's not appropriate. It's really it's not what we're going for here.
What? They could do like a mod.
Do you remember there was a Pacific Rim job, was a Pacific Rim like XBLA like 2-player fighting game.
Yeah, there was.
Anyways, but no. Yeah. So basically,
that existed.
The idea is that you're a time traveler, so you go back into time to a timeline of humanity to try to stop the Vec from taking over. And so it's like right when they started coming out, there's 4 different islands that you go through, and so you kind of pick which island you want to start at, and you have various missions that you go through, and the game plays out on like that's like an 8x8 grid. I compare it a lot. I have a review up on the Pixel Related, but I compare it a lot to chess, because it is very much about, you have 3 pieces that you're moving around. There are, anywhere from 1 to, what's the most I've seen, like 6 or 7 monsters. It can get pretty hairy at times. And they are trying to attack you. They are trying to destroy the buildings in that play area. And your goal is to survive for the most part. Like, generally the objective in every single mission is survive X amount of turns, and that will force them to retreat. So either just hold on, push them back, kill them, whatever you need to do. Unlike a lot of like other like giant monsters, robots fighting monsters properties, or even stuff like Godzilla or whatever, this game is very much about not destroying buildings and not letting civilians die. That is actually the currency of which you are trying to protect. You have something called a power grid, and every time a building or some other type of civilian thing takes damage, it hurts your power grid, and you only have like 8 ticks, and you start the game with like 5 or 6, and so that's how many times you can let a building get hit, and if you get them all, you lose. But because this is a run-based game, you losing or winning is kind of inconsequential to the overall thing, because if you lose, you just go back into your time and come back down into a different timeline and start it all over again. But this game is absolutely fantastic. Like, it is a turn-based strategy RPG that kind of feels like a puzzle game, because unlike a lot of like, like you talk about like turn-based or, strategy games, you think about like XCOM or something like that. XCOM is all about just, hey, get down there, kill the aliens, go back to your base. This one, like a lot of the times, the things you do has absolutely nothing to do with killing aliens. Because you are a time traveler, at the beginning of your turn, you know what the aliens are going to do. So aliens going to shoot, he's going to shoot in this direction, which is going to hit this building, or he's going to lob a grenade that will go over this stuff and hit these 2 buildings. And so you can manipulate where the aliens are firing at to make them, not hit the buildings, hit, meaningless ground, hit other aliens to take them out. You can push them into like hazards like lava or water, or, there's lightning storms and blizzards, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff on all of these maps. And it's really just about, hey, you got to manipulate this game board, move the enemies around. You can block enemies from spawning in to try to, if you're taking some really losses and you don't want anyone else to come in, you can block enemies from coming in by standing over the point that they're going to come in, because again, you can see into the future, I guess. And it's just so good. Like, just every run through is like its own just randomly generated series of puzzles, and it feels very fair. Like, it doesn't feel like... Sometimes stuff will happen that will feel like you kind of got screwed over and there's nothing you can do. But for the vast majority of the time I'm playing, if something goes wrong and something messes up, if I take damage or a mech dies or a building gets hit, it's either I effed up, I messed something up, oh, I didn't see, oh, yeah, I moved that guy that way, but then, of course, yeah, he's going to hit into that building. I can't believe I didn't do that. Or you just got to kind of put in a situation where you have to kind of deal with the losses that you have to take. Like, I try to mitigate as much damage as I can take, but hey, like, if I'm going to stop this building from getting attacked, I'm going to have to take damage to my mech, and I'm going to have to live with that. It is so good, and there are 10 different sets of mechs in the game, each with their own special abilities, special things. There's some that will basically just like spread fire everywhere you go, and they're immune to fire. So you kind of just, you're setting everything on fire and watching the aliens burn. There's some that are all about just manipulating, moving people around and don't do a ton of damage. There's some that are kind of just brute damage. Like there's a cool set that does a lot of damage, but they're losing health, so you have to like kill enemies to regain health is kind of the special ability that they have, which is super cool. Like there's so much different variety, and every run you take, takes somewhere from like 45 minutes to an hour, kind of depending on how much you want to put into it, because like I said, there's 4 different islands that you can tackle, but you only have to fight 2 of them to get to the last mission. And so it's kind of up to you of like, if you hit the end of 2 missions and you're feeling pretty good about your squad, because on top of doing these missions, you can like kind of like level up your squad and unlock different abilities and bonuses and stuff like that for your actual squad as you're going on. Like if you're in a good position, you got tons of grid power and your guys have really good abilities, you could just go right to the final mission after the 2nd island, or you can keep pushing through to the 3rd and 4th island, try to strengthen your guys even more, get even more bonuses, but then knowing that that final mission is going to be that much harder because the enemies are also kind of leveling up with you. But yeah, it's very much just about like, hey, do your thing, do it really well, plan everything ahead. It's a lot of it is you kind of just sit back and just stare at it and go, okay, what's going on here? Like, how am I going to solve this? How am I going to solve this puzzle? How am I going to move these guys in this certain way to get this thing? And when you get it right, you feel like a freaking genius, like you're the smartest person in the world. And when you mess it up, you're like, yeah, boy, I'm so dumb that I didn't see that one thing. It's just so much fun. There's so much replayability. I've probably played it a dozen playthroughs or something like that, and I will still keep going back. There's still one more squad that I haven't even unlocked yet, because the way you unlock squads is by unlocking achievements. So every achievement you get a coin, and you get it's like somewhere between like 4 or 6 coins will unlock the new squads. And so like it also rewards you for just like, hey, play around with these squads and do different things, because every squad has their own set of achievements that you can do based on the special ability of those squads. Or you can go in with just a random squad of stuff that the game just picks for you. Or you can custom pick your own squad from each of the different squads that are available to you. Like there's just so much stuff to do. It's so cool. I like it so much. It looks really cool. Like it's got like a isometric 3D, but like super just like 2D pixel art stuff. But it looks 3D. Like it looks like, I don't know like how deep, if it's gonna have like Steam Workshop support or something like that, but it seems something like you could very easily like go in and someone could just make like hey, this is going to be a Pacific Rim mod, and just overlay the graphics and stuff like that, because the graphics are pretty simplistic because it is pixel art, but it looks really good and it animates really cool, and it looks well. It's just such a good game. It's like super addicting. It's like one of those things, like the first night I played it, I sat down and I was playing through, and I did one through. Not that I died, that didn't go so well. I'll do another one. Okay, I got a little bit farther, I still died. And then I looked up and it was like 3:00 in the morning, and I was just like, oh my god, where did the night go? Like, it's just, you just get lost in it. It's so much fun. I like it a lot. It would be really cool if it's like the perfect game that could be on like a Switch, or like a tablet or a phone, like anything but like touch controls. It would be like a perfect game for, because it is kind of that type of thing. But it's great on Steam. Like I absolutely love it. Like it's gonna be something I'm played over and over again for quite a long time. I imagine, one run here, one run there. I highly recommend it. It's so good. You need to play it, Adam. You need to play it. Doesn't take that long. You just go in and you play like an hour and you die and you go back in time and you try it over again. It's fine. It's not a big deal. You just
I gotta get Niatin extracts because those are really required to get the primes, but they're super limited and you can only get them from doing these specific missions that'll only come in 4 times a day. If you're not far enough in the story, or you're not far enough in the galaxy map, then you can't actually do some of them. So it's like every time that you see one that's like at a level 5 to 7, it's like a Grineer, survival or excavation. You have to go do that.
There's so much words that are being said right now that I just don't.
A game is fucking great, but goddamn, I'm like still 50, 60 hours in, and I still don't quite know how a lot of stuff works because I haven't fucked with any of the like open world Pillars of Eldion stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
there's a lot of the game there.
I guess I should check out Warframe at some point. Apparently, there's a game.
It's like Destiny, but better and more fulfilling. That doesn't take much, right?
Poor Destiny 2. Poor Destiny 2. God, when was the last time you fired up Destiny 2? It's been a long time for me. It's probably mid-January or so was probably the last time I fired up Destiny 2.
I think it was before that for me.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. When did Curse of Osiris came out? Like I played a decent bit when Curse of Osiris came out.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that was December. December was Curse of Osiris. So yeah, it's probably before Monster Hunter probably.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is really what pulled me away from Destiny 2. But there's so many games out right now. I was just talking about the Nintendo Switch, and one of the biggest franchises of the Nintendo has. Maybe it's like a B tier franchise.
You say that name. You say that name with respect on your lips.
I'm just
you don't. You don't disrespect the boy who's had no bad games.
I've heard about a certain 3DS game that came out earlier this year that sounded like it was pretty bad.
No bad games.
Kirby Star Allies, I think is what it's called.
Star Allies, yeah.
Is out on Switch, and just like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, it completely reimagines what Kirby game. No, that's not. That's true.
It's so fucking pretty though.
It's a nice looking game.
It's Kirby, but it's so fucking pretty.
It is having Kirby in pretty graphics and like HD.
So good.
Although I guess there was a Rainbow Curse or whatever there was an HD Kirby game.
Rainbow Canvas, yeah. That was Wii U. Yeah. That
was a Wii U game. This game is not the like breath of fresh air that something like Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey were. This is very much like, hey, have you played Kirby? What if Kirby had bots with him all the time, or friends? Conversely, if you want them to be friends, which is how I mostly have been playing. And then like all of the stuff from the past Kirby games that you liked. What if they were just all back here again? And it's really fun. Like it's a really fun.
You can be buddies with Knuckle Joe. You can get that paintbrush ability.
Yeah.
And then you can paint a refrigerator so that all your friends can get food.
Yes, exactly. Great. And then you can paint a little Meta Knight, and he will go. Little Pix of Meta Knight will go, and he will attack enemies for you.
Slash.
Or you could just go have Meta Knight be one of your friends as well, and he can just kill people as Meta Knight. Yeah, it's very familiar of a game. Like, hey, the first boss you fight is Wispy Woods. You never saw that coming, did you? But it's really good. So the whole point of this is Kirby. Like, there is, I would say, I don't know, almost every single enemy you can come across. There's a couple just like lame, like small enemies that you can't. But most enemies you can throw a little heart at, and then that heart will make that person be on your side. And if you're playing in co-op, your co-op, friends up to 4 people, or up to 4 people total, can play as those guys. And some of those are just like, hey, they're the abilities that Kirby's always been able to like suck up and be, like he can have a blade, he can have a freaking yo-yo.
Ninja abilities.
The ninja, like all that stuff. Like there's like all that stuff is in there. And so you're kind of just playing as that same type of thing. But then they also extend that out to like the bosses. Like, do you want to be what's like Bugsy and have like weird weird pincers that can throw people around, or you can be Meta Knight, or you can be King Dedede.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff is in there, Playing it as I have been, which is in 4-player co-op with my wife and my kids, is nothing short of complete chaos.
Yeah.
And really fun. Really, really fun.
Yeah.
Arguments about like, all right, we just got this guy. Who wants to be this guy? I want to be this guy. No, I want to be this guy. All right, well, I'm going to choose you to be, like just constantly doing stuff like that. Like the levels, like the bosses and stuff like that are kind of just stuff going crazy and all over the place. Adam, I know you've been playing it. You've probably been playing it with Che, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You played solo or just co-op with her, or
we're doing co-op with her, and then like just 2 other bots are controlling, which is kind of nice because it's like, hey, we each get to be whatever character that we want to, and then on top of that, hey, we need in this level a fire ability, because that's like the big thing about having these friends is you can kind of store up extra abilities as you're going to need them. So it'll be like, okay, this level I need to have like either a wind ability or an ice ability to get past this fire to get me to this secret area. You can kind of always have somebody like loaded up in there with it. You can also like mod Kirby's attacks, like some of them, like the sword attacks or the hammer attacks. So they get like, hey, I'm using wind with this hammer. So now I don't necessarily need to have the wind guy with me. I can substitute that for another person. Yeah. So you can kind of create some interesting team composition stuff that's really cool. This combined stuff was in 64, I think. And I think that's the last time they've had that stuff. So like there's some crazy fucking combos that you can get. Like they have like the ones that are like obviously like required are like the friendship wheel, or you become a bridge with all 4 of you, and you gotta like lead the little guy with a key across. It's like all that stuff is really fun. It's a Kirby game. Like it's I think that I love Kirby games. They're just very cheerful. They're very cheery and happy and bright. Like this game
it's not difficult at all. Like it's just you kind of just playing it and just having fun. And like you said, it's kind of all like crazy stuff. Lots of colors, lots of stuff. It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, like it is exactly what I would have wanted out of a Kirby game. I know there's some people that's maybe not enough for them, but I'm fine with this. Like I was fine with Robobot. I was fine with was it Triple Deluxe? I think was the other one for the 3DS. And then before that, there have been like a few Kirby games on each portable system, but I think this game is just, hey, this is a nice little filler thing until we get whatever the next big deal is going to be, because Bayonetta was in February. This is March. I don't know what's coming out in April and May and all of them, but
I mean, I think the tennis one is pretty soon. I think that's April or May.
Okay,
but like the big hitters like Metroid and Smash are probably this fall. I don't know.
Well, Smash is definitely this fall.
Yeah, I think if Metroid might be even farther out than that. I don't know. Yeah. And then there's a Yoshi game coming at some time as well. But I don't know if they've said
we haven't seen
when
much of that lately.
It looks like Woolly World, except I think there's a lot of cardboard, if I remember right.
Yeah. These games are fine. They are to me like kind of what the Lego games are in a lot of ways, which is like, it's not super difficult, but I enjoy it. I have a good time playing it. Yeah. And then it's done and I'm happy.
Yeah. The thing I worry about it is where I'm at. I'm in the middle of the third world, and I worry, and I don't know yet. So I mean, take this right, but I worry that might not be that long of a game. Like there's like tons of stuff, and it's super fun, and there's a bunch of random levels, but like the third world is already kind of hinting that might be the end of the game, and I don't think it is. I think there's more after that, but like in the so like you unlock the Dream Castle or whatever they call it, where you can go be friends with a Waddle Dee or King Dedede or Meta Knight, and you can join them on your thing. And that's it. It's just those 3 guys, and you unlock all 3 of those by the end of World 2. And World 3 is like, like the big evil like alien spaceship thing is here, and then you go to fight it, and that seems like what I'm doing right now. And I'm like, it can't just be the 3 worlds. It's got to be at least 5, I would assume, or I don't know. I don't know how many worlds are on it. I don't know if you're looking that up. I probably should have looked that up.
I'm actually looking that up right now
because I'm curious, and not that would necessarily be that big of a deal, but I would hope that it would have a little bit more length to that, because like
I feel like a lot of them it's been like 5 worlds.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, because getting through the first 2 worlds only took about 2.5 hours, maybe something like that. Like it's not like it's a super long game. And I guess
Kirby Star Allies is a triumph of socialism. Thank you very much, Geek.com. You've been saying what I've been saying this whole goddamn time. I don't know. I can't actually find it.
Should all just be friends and share and.
I know that there is like there's a mode after that which allows you to like modify the difficulty.
Okay, that'd be cool.
So like you can go through and do that, and there's always like the little little mini games that they have present, and then there's also the whole puzzle piece thing, which is like
and there's tons
similar
of
to what they had
like
on the 3DS, where it's like, hey, you street pass with somebody and you can get a puzzle piece. It kind of made me wish that the Switch actually had more of that stuff, because that kitschy shit that was not super integral to the 3DS, but it like kind of gave it its own personality. Kind of made me go like, man, I really wish there was just something similar-ish to that on this. Even though I don't really take my Switch out.
I was gonna say
my 3DS.
My Switch doesn't really go anywhere. Like if I'm traveling, it comes with me, but not on. It's just like it's in my laptop bag for when I get to the place, and then I use it at the place because it works well like that. I don't think. I mean, I think as like that's kind of why I say like Kirby. I think is kind of like I don't want you to be offended by this. I think it's kind of like a B tier Nintendo thing, because it doesn't feel like the last several games that have come out, they're not really trying to like push the envelope or do anything crazy or new. Like this feels kind of like like greatest hits of Kirby, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a fun game. But it's not like the big change or try to do these things like they did with like Mario or Zelda or whatever. And maybe there's not that for Kirby. I don't know.
I don't know that they need to, though. Like at this point, and I don't know what you could do with Kirby.
Okay.
That would be as revolutionary.
100 Kirbys drop out of an airplane. Stay with me here.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Wait. Hold on. There actually was the DS game where it was like you controlled a bunch of mini Kirbys.
Sure.
Just like that. But with way more violence.
So like no, not more. I mean, so like like imagine like in PUBG, like you go into houses and you find equipment and stuff like that in PUBG, Kirby Royale as we're gonna call it. You just suck up the enemies, and then you have the bow and arrow, or you have probably not an M16, something a yo, whatever. I like this idea. Let's make this happen.
You eat the weak to kill the strong.
Yeah, and then you loot the ones that you beat up, and then you absorb their energy, and it's like a combination between Kirby and Highlander. Actually, but
what if like you didn't actually get any abilities, and it's just like the star spit that he gets? So it's like you get like one bullet, you got one shot. You better make it count. Otherwise, they're going to eat you, and then they're going to have the shot that you are.
Okay, now
you can't leave the game until you get ejected.
Okay, now it sounds like a Gario.
I bet. I mean, yeah, I bet.
I
think with less racism than a Gario, but yeah.
I mean, I'm just like I just imagining like you're like on this playfield and there's a giant Kirby and you're like, wow, that guy's like eating like 10, 20 people, and I've only had like 3 people. Like he's way bigger than me. How am I going to take him down? I like this idea. Nintendo needs to get on it. Yeah, so that's Kirby. It's fun. Like I don't, it's not something that's going to set the world on fire. But if you like Kirby, this is a good one of those Kirbys, for sure. Unlike the last 3DS game, which sounded like it was a bad one of those Kirbys. Mostly because it sounded like it wasn't actually a Kirby, like it was a weird like offshoot like mini game
thing. It's a mini game collection.
Like, that's not what we're looking for in our Kirbys. The big game, however, that we can finally talk about, even though it doesn't come out for like another month or something like
month. It's actually now it's actually technically less than a month, but yeah,
because of the embargo is up for Yakuza 6.
That thing is so fucking weird.
The Song of Life.
It's so fucking weird, the embargo stuff, because like they announced, what was it, like 2 months ago, that they were delaying it by a month, and then they hit us up a few weeks ago and we're sending out review codes, and like it's there, it's fully there. And then on top of it, there's the whole demo thing.
Where you can download the game and get the game for free. Just unplug your internet and you can finish that game, no problem.
Don't unplug that. Unplug that Ethernet cable. They'll restrict that shit.
I don't. It's bizarre that they delayed it, but yet the game is very much done. At least what I played. You've played a lot more than I have.
It's done. Yeah, it's totally done. So I finished it, which I didn't with Kiwami, and like with Zero, I had gotten like kind of close to the ending on both of those, enough to talk about the review, but I kind of came back from vacation. I was like, I'm just going to plow through this ending, and goddamn, that is a game. I don't think I like it as much as Zero, but I like it a lot more than I liked Kiwami. I think that 6 is... So they've been saying this, and I'm obviously not going to get into the details, but this is the end of Kiryu's story.
Sure.
His arc in the Yakuza series is complete by the end of it. It feels like, yep, that's done. Okay, we're good. We have a decent amount of... There's like a solid, I want to say, maybe hour or so of cutscenes at the end that's just going through everything that is kind of left off with the events of the ending. So... This game is after 5.
It's kind of weird because...
They said that you don't need to play those other games, but it feels kind of like making sense of some stuff is helpful.
There's a lot of stuff that happens between what I have played, which is Kiwami, and 6. The game has a like recap like text thing with some like pictures and stuff in it, but I mean it has like a text recap of the stuff that happened in the previous games, but it's not just like hey, here's a quick overview. It's like, here's like 15 paragraphs about what happened in Yakuza 1. All right, now let's go to Yakuza 2. Now let's go to Yakuza 3.
There's also a map, like a weird like Pepe Sylvia sort of map of like connections that they have on the Yakuza website. So it's like, hey, this character is connected to this character, and this is what they did at this point. And there's a lot of shit like that. The kind of core that you need to know is that following the events of Kiwami, Kiryu adopted a kid, essentially, and took over the Sunrise Orphanage. And that kid grew up, became a pop idol, and then at her last concert publicly announced that, like, oh yeah, by the way, Kiryu was like a total Yakuza. And that kind of coincides with the ending of like whatever the hell the story is with 5.
Something that results in Kiryu getting put in jail.
Yeah.
Because
Kiryu gets locked.
Yeah, because of the clan wars that were going on, even though he wasn't really a part of it. So Kiryu gets arrested. He gets sent to prison. He says, I'm going to take it because if I do this amount of time, then when I'm out, I can just live a normal life. I don't need to be involved in this bullshit. I've been trying to get out for this long. I'm not interested in it anymore. I'm just going to do the time, and I'm going to leave. Meanwhile, his adopted daughter eventually starts getting like spied on by a bunch of paparazzi, and so she eventually leaves, takes off, and disappears for 3 years. Nobody knows where the hell she's gone, and that kind of leads to the start of this game, which is Kiryu getting out of prison and going like, hey, what happened? Eventually you find out what has happened to her, and you also take charge of another baby. You have a baby you got to take care of a bunch in this game. There's a solid 2 or 3 chapters where you are walking back and forth between places holding the baby, and I mean, I guess you could talk to this more, but the baby in the middle of the night is just like crying, so you have to walk around the town and find milk for the baby and play a mini game where you are calming the baby down by wiggling her and throwing her in the air, and it's real. Or
but
him.
You don't know what that baby wants. That baby.
Who knows what a baby wants? Yeah. No one knows
what a baby wants. What a baby needs. Whatever makes it happy sets you free.
I love So that whole part where you're running around the middle of the night with a baby trying to find milk in this like podunk town that apparently everything closes at like 6 o'clock. Is just random and hilarious. But what I find even more crazy is like the next day, like they just drop you back into just like normal open world Yakuza stuff, of which there is like guys constantly who just want to beat the crap out of Kiryu, which I will still never quite understand from a realism perspective. But they totally built in the like, okay, hand a stranger your baby, I need to go beat these guys up real quick, and then I will get my baby back from you. Like, that's a mechanic in the game. Like, they built in a logical reason for how you can get rid of your baby momentarily so you can go fight up these random guys on the street.
Hold this child. And then you go kick ass.
Yep.
The child has some really subliminal scars, some really fucked up psyche that's going to come out in like 20, 30 years when they're going
that kid seems to love Kiryu, like... a lot, and I don't blame it. Kiryu's a cool guy. Like there's the part where you're playing the baseball game. I was really disappointed that I didn't actually like play like full on baseball in that part. I'm sure there's other baseball stuff because there was batting cages and whatnot in the past games.
Yeah, the batting cages are back. Yeah. There's all the baseball management thing is there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but after the baseball part, after you just like beat up all these guys, like the baby's just sitting over there on the bench, just la da da la da da, and then like smiling and reaching out to you, and I'm like, well, that's just about the most adorable thing I've ever seen in a video game right there. Yeah. Because that baby is pretty dang adorable. And I just love that, like, that's what this game is dealing with, and it just goes there. Like, I thought when they sent you, when you were going to a new city that had nothing that you'd never been to before, they would like come up with some story reason for like, it's probably best to leave the baby behind so I can go investigate. Nope, bringing the baby with. Nah. I love it. I love it so much.
Nah, I can't risk the baby. I guess this is why a bunch of people on the internet call Kiryu daddy. I guess that's, I guess I had never made that connection until now. Okay, so Yakuza. So it's a lot more of Yakuza.
Yes,
though.
it
like
is.
the game, you're walking around Kamurocho, you're walking around Hiroshima, you are getting into fights, you're doing a bunch of side quests. The side quests are really well written in this game. The big difference here is the Dragon Engine, which they built this thing from the ground up for the PS4, so it looks a lot better. There's no more, hey, I'm going into this building and here's a load. You can go in and out between buildings to the point where actually the best thing that I don't know that most people will realize is that if you get into a fight on the street, you can just spill that fight into buildings. Ooh. And those owners are very not happy about it afterwards, to the point where they will, for some amount of time, tell you, no, you need to go and not be here because I'm not selling you a fucking thing. The first time that I found a beef bowl shop that I had put somebody's head through the glass, he just straight up said, you destroyed my shop. Why would you do that? And he wouldn't sell me anything afterwards. It was really cool. Yeah. He's really distressed because anytime that I'm by there and there's enemies now, I'm throwing them into that beef bowl place. You don't deny Kiryu.
Yeah, I kind of wondered because I unlocked like one of the heat abilities, which was to put a person's head in a microwave, and then like the person started the microwave to like boil his head. And I haven't used it yet. It's one of the things I unlocked because I had enough money for it, and I'm like, when am I ever going to use that? That seems really bizarre, and now I understand how I would use it. In the convenience stores. Okay.
The chopstick one is pretty good too.
Yes.
You take he grabs the chopsticks and then he uses them on the guy's finger and flips his arm around and then breaks his arm.
They've really gone all out with those like context sensitive like they are super like they look really painful a lot of times, but they're also all kinds of silly, and it's pretty great. It's very much what I played so far is like, it's just, they haven't messed with the formula all that much. It's very much Yakuza of what I played of Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami. It just looks gorgeous, and it's set like 30 years after the last one I played.
Yeah. I think the thing that really helps this game, comparing it to Kiwami, which both games were pretty much focused exclusively on Kiryu. This game is exclusively Kiryu's story. It is all about him. But it feels a lot more built out. Like, there's a lot of shit going down. There's a lot of characters that you kind of run across and have interactions with. There's a lot of mystery going around. I think, like, probably the best side character is like Beat Takeshi's character. He's in this as a old ass Yakuza guy who shows up like I'm just in the middle of the game, and it's like, oh, that's fucking Beat Takeshi. Okay, cool, awesome, because he's fucking great. But hey, hi, what are you doing here? They do, I think, a really good job, though, of, and I said this in a review, I feel like they do a really good job of concluding this arc of what I've played of it, right? So I haven't played 2, 3, 4, 5. I haven't played any of those, but I do feel like the ending of this, there's closure on the story of Kiryu. When they go to the next character, the next protag, whose name is escaping me, but when they go to that Spike Spiegel looking motherfucker, like, I think that it's going to work really well to just have a complete clean break, because you see them going with Kiwami 2, and who knows if they're going to put out like more re-releases. I mean, I'd be fine with that, but the thing that I think could be a little bit concerning is if they go, okay, yeah, we've got this new series, but hey, we're also going to be re-releasing these old Kiryu games because we know that's the guy that you know. I feel like, though, this is a good stopping point. Like, there are things that happen in this game, characters, you learn things about people. There's a whole fucking mystery that just goes throughout the entirety of this game. Which, I mean, you probably saw it in that intro cutscene. Like, that is the thing that is going through the end of the game.
Right.
It's like a really well-built story, whereas, like, Kiwami was... I heard somebody describe it as, like, yeah, Kiwami was okay, but it kind of just felt like it was a DLC for Yakuza 0 that just happened to have the Yakuza 1 storyline in it. Here, this feels like its own game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably just a product of when Yakuza 1 came out versus like Yakuza 0 being a brand new, 2016, 2017 game, depending on, when you count it being released. Like there's a decent reason the Yakuza 0 was so good because, it's developed right now, and this is the same type of thing with Yakuza 6. Is, like, hey, back in, 2003 or whenever Yakuza 1 came out. Yeah. I mean, it's a long time ago.
But yeah, they could have done more with it, like they didn't. It felt like they were kind of constraining themselves to keep it just with that story. And I'm not even saying like, hey, you need to have Majima, although that'd be cool. Majima's great. I don't think that you would need to do like what they're doing with Kiwami 2, which is like an entire subplot for. They're adding an entire subplot for Majima so that you can play as Majima, which is cool. But just expand out like your side quests, expand out your minigame stuff, like expand that world out a bit more so it doesn't just feel like, hey, I'm back in Kamurocho, which kind of the big change is that there's a big tower. Like that's about it. Like that's the only thing that feels like really significant between those two games.
Yeah. Which after how long of a difference of time there was between Zero and Kiwami, I thought there would have been a bit more changes.
They added a tower. And,
also, I don't know, let's say between Kiwami and let's say Yakuza 6, not much of a difference change there either, except it's prettier now for some reason.
Not a ton, though they do one thing which is really weird, which is the entire the homeless park that you used to be able to get to. That entire like back road is completely blocked off. You can't even touch that area at all.
Yeah.
Also, there's sewers in this one.
They fixed
there's
the
a lot of
homeless
sewers,
problem, so it's fine. It's
yeah.
They
fixed the homeless problem by adding sewers, I guess. No, it's great. Like this thing is incredible. is like I said, it's not as good as Zero, but I still really love the story that they've got going here. Which, I mean, hey, that was, the same thing with Zero and even Kiwami. Like, Kiwami had a good story going for it, just primarily because it was built off of Yakuza 0 in a sense. Like, it had that addition of like, hey, I've spent this entire game with Nishiki, and now Nishiki is a total dickhead.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, this game is not changing things up in a super huge way. There are meaningful changes in the engine, but the thing you're going there for really is the story.
Yeah.
And the story is phenomenal. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they made things with like the way you do upgrades and like combat, and it's like there's stuff in there, but they're all pretty minor. And because of how much they've upgraded the engine, like all the characters and stuff like that look just fantastic in this game, and that goes a long way when you talk about this game being primarily about story. I can't wait.
It's wild because like they at the beginning of it, like I'm sure you noticed it, but they have like obviously some cutscenes from 5 in this game.
Yep.
And then there's a pretty hard cutoff of when they have those cutscenes in. It's pretty noticeable. It's like when Kiryu comes out of his coma, it's like, oh, my head's cleared and all of the 720 blur is gone.
Yeah, there's a well, that even like when you're going back and like reading through like the recaps, like the Yakuza 1 recap uses like photos and stuff like that from Kiwami, and then it gets to 2 and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, things used to look like garbage back then, huh? Forgot about that. Or maybe it's 3. I don't know if they had Kiwami 2 stuff, and I don't think they did.
I don't think that they did.
But it's like, okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Kiwami 2 just came out in December of last year.
Yeah, so yeah, they wouldn't have had time to put stuff from that back in Yakuza 6, because Yakuza 6 came out in Japan last year.
A couple of years ago.
Was it a couple of years ago, Yakuza 6?
I'll say it was 2016.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna say it was 2016.
Yeah, we're old.
So like the fact that we're getting Yakuza Kiwami in like under a year it's a feat. Like that is incredible.
Or it will be a mess. Let's hope for not that.
Right. Well, and I trust that, like, because we're on the other side of this, where we're getting the emails and we're seeing like how much they are pushing this stuff to press to be like, hey, we really want you to check this game out. So I think that maybe Yakuza is starting to become one of their pillars. I hope, fingers crossed. Sure. Like the fact that they put them on a Fist of the North Star game last year, and then obviously they've got another Yakuza game that they're working on. That tells me that like that they're going to continue down this line, and I think that the porting of it over here. Also, one other thing, the guys who do the localization for this game do such a fucking incredible job. Like it cannot be overstated how good they do with their work of like, yeah, there's this entire quest line where this jackass YouTuber is going around Tokyo and making an ass of himself. And he start talking about how he's an influencer and how he's this great influencer and how everybody loves him. And then he died. Yeah, you beat the crap out of him. He's like, my influencer days are over. Or in the like gang warfare when everybody is like, yeah, and then Naito, who's the big guy who went to Mexico, is just like, yeah, but it says below it C. Like, that's great. That's really good work that they're doing. Those guys are unsung heroes of these games because like they wouldn't work as well if they weren't that well localized.
Yeah, no, the translation's perfect. Like, there's never one of those like, wait, like that. That's a weird, like that's a weird phrasing of that, or like no, like it's all perfect. Like to the point where I'm like, I wonder what the context of Japanese actually was, because there's no, I don't think they were like sup man in Japanese. Like maybe they were, I don't know, but I doubt it. It's like. There's a really good submission where they're talking about Kabedon, and both myself and my fiance, who studied Japanese, is like, wait, Kabedon, and
And then she just sort of looks it up. She's like, oh dear, this is what we're doing. Okay, great. And it turns out to be like definitely one of my favorite subquests in that game. Okay. They do a really good job of framing everything in like, they don't change like what's being said, right? Like they're not changing it to be like American, No. They just like have like a little explanation of like, okay, well this is what it is, and that's about it. Also, one other thing, fully voice acted. Everything's fully voice acted. Huge deal, especially because it looks like Kiwami 2 does not actually have everything voice acted.
That actually, the way they handle that is actually a little weird to me, because it gives you the prompts that you can skip through dialogue, but skipping through the dialogue will also like skip through like the motions and stuff like that, like the cuts and stuff like that. And so like there was a couple things where like at the beginning where I was like, yeah, okay, read through it, click. Oh, well, wait, no, I just missed something there. And so now I have to like physically stop myself from clicking through it after I've, read through it. And, and which is good. It's helping me like appreciate the actual voice acting and stuff like that. Even though I have no idea what they're saying, because I don't understand the Japanese language, not even a little bit. But it is helping me appreciate.
I'm getting there. There was some stuff that I was able to identify, and I was super proud of myself. I was like, I know some of that stuff.
I heard arigato. I know Kiryu.
I know
Kazuma.
Kazuma. I know
Naguma.
Domo. I know Mr. Roboto. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I had to look up Aniki last night. Because he's like, he keeps calling him.
They don't give context for that.
Kiryu Aniki, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but apparently it's a big deal. And then I looked it up, and I'm like, I'm not sure if that's actually a big deal or not. Like it's sort of like, I guess I would consider it akin to like calling somebody senpai or like, but in an adult way, exactly. But Kiryu clearly did not want to be called that, so it was kind of like, I'm not sure what's going on here at all.
No, because it's that guy calling him Aniki, and you're like, no, fuck off, you weirdo.
Also, when you search that up on Google, it also brings up a bunch of Anakin Skywalker things, which I was like, this is not what I'm trying to pull up. I don't.
Oh, you mean Ani?
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to keep playing more. I've been saying, I have a lot of stuff on my plate right now, so I've been going through it definitely at a slower pace than you, which I can do because I didn't have to write a review for it. But I'm enjoying my stuff. I'm still kind of taken aback by how integrated the baby is at this point, and I imagine that probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily want you to spoil it for me, but I would imagine that probably pulls away a little bit. Like, he can't go on like crazy revenge missions or take down the Chinese mafia or whatever while holding a baby. So I gotta imagine they pull back on that a little bit at some point.
They at one point, literally, he's like, hey, I really need you to take this child for the day because I've got to do some stuff.
I even had a point where it's like, I went through like a mission and a fight, and then I went to this other thing and I did this other thing, and then Kiryu was like, oh yeah, I gotta get my baby, and I'm like, oh crap, we gotta get our baby. Like, I forgot about our baby. If we have to go get, like, we've been gone for like 3 hours. That lady's gonna be pissed at us. She wasn't pissed. She needs to keep a super cute baby. So
she ends up being the person who you end up dropping the kid with.
Yep.
A lot in that game.
The babysitting daycare / bar, as you do.
And then like also at a bunch of points, Beat Takeshi is taking care of the baby, which is just great. Like, it's great. Beat Takeshi's great. I love it. So
cool. Yeah. Like I said, we've been playing a lot here. We do have a couple more things we're going to talk about, just little bits of news before we go. Nothing too excited, but they are worth mentioning. You can get our hot takes on the hottest news to come out of the internet since the last time we podcasted. A little bit we kind of already talked about. Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct. They announced a whole bunch of stuff. Primary of that was a new... Okay, no, I don't know. It's a Smash Brothers game. I'm still not they haven't really come out and said if it's a new Smash Brothers game, if it's a port of the Wii U game.
seems like it's a new-ish game, or
right?
if not, it's like a pretty heavily iterated. So they also said that like Sakurai is working on this game. They didn't say what his role is, but they said, yeah, Sakurai is working on it, which to me kind of implies that
it's new.
Maybe it's a new game.
Yeah.
The Wii U one came out, I want to say 2013. So this kind of like lines up with them releasing a fully new thing.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a new one if they did just do kind of a port of it.
Yeah, they did like a Mario Kart Deluxe type thing for it. Like that would.
I also feel like they would have come out and said that, though, is the thing. Like they've been pretty upfront in saying like, hey, this is this game from the Wii U, but we put it on the Switch with like pretty much everything they've done that with.
Yeah.
So I think that if it was just going to be that, I think they would have said like, yeah, we're porting that from the Switch to the Wii U. Also, this seems like this is the big showpiece game for Nintendo at E3.
Yeah.
So like this was their first big announcement of, hey, this is what you got to look forward to at E3.
Yeah. Which is disappointing because I don't really like Super Smash Brothers all that much.
Yeah. It's fine. I play it every so often. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. It's the definition of fine.
But no, what's the definition of fine? I forget what the definition of fine is.
Kirby.
Kirby's
in this.
No, there's something else.
No, Kirby's great.
Fine. What was the definition? I don't know. I forget. The thing with is like I tried Smash Brothers Wii U. And I don't know if it's just because like last Smash Brothers I really got into was the GameCube one, the one Melee.
Mm-hmm.
But I found it like really slow, and I couldn't get into it at all. And like if this is just a port of the Wii U one, I am going to be instantly uninterested. If it is a new game, that does bring some hope for me because maybe then this one could be the one that I can appreciate and get back into. Because I played a crap ton of Super Smash Bros. Melee back in the day, as did a lot of people, because that game is fantastic. And there's a reason that like it only just got like ousted as like the main like Smash Brothers that's played, only because it's been going for so long, and how much can you iterate on the same Star Fox
same games, yeah.
Star Fox beating Kirby.
Oh, you won this game that's been out for fucking decades.
Yeah, exactly.
This game's older than dirt. This game is old enough to have sex with in some counties.
I mean, I don't.
And people probably do.
What is the age of consent of Super Smash Brothers Melee? I don't. We don't. Depends on the state you're in. That's
depends on if you're running for a governor. Timely joke. That's what that was.
They also announced. They confirmed Octopath Traveler. As well as like a weird like papercraft theater like super special edition that looks like I'm not into special editions at all. I will certainly not get that, but I was like that looks really cool. And there's a couple other Undertale is coming to Switch.
Undertale's coming to Switch, which means that presumably I have to assume that Sans is going to be in Smash. And just all the nerds are gonna
that would be good.
It's gonna end the internet. Also, there was a rumor that apparently Bandai Namco really wanted to get Goku into Smash, and man, I'm not prepared to live in this stupid fucking timeline if that's the case, where we get Goku and Sans in the same game, like an official game, like not some shitty fan project.
Oh man, I mean, Smash Brothers has been really good about that stuff. Like what they had. Like Solid Snake was in one of those. Bayonetta was in the Wii U.
Ryu.
They had. That's right, Ryu. Like they had Cloud and like Sonic and
Pac-Man.
Now the Inklings are going to be in this one. They showed off more of the Dark Souls as well as a Dark Souls amiibo, which the only purpose
instantly
of it.
Sold out.
I was going to say, which the only purpose of it apparently in Dark Souls is that it makes you do the Praise the Sun emote when you put it on the thing. That seems like it's it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that's it. That's all they said that it was going to do.
What did you want to do? Did you want it to refill your health? It's Dark Souls.
You used to be able to, but yeah, like I don't know. Can I train my Soul Air to be like my Smash character? Oh fuck, that means Soul Air is probably against
You
Smash.
could. I would say you might be able to do that.
Shit.
You might be able to do that. That could be a good
It's
Smash.
Stupid timeline we live in.
That'd be a good Smash too. Yeah, they also announced story DLC for Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me because I don't know. I guess I heard people say okay stuff about the single player.
Yeah.
I played like a couple like levels or whatever, and I was just like, nah, it didn't do it for me. So I guess that's cool for some people. They also announced like 3DS stuff, which is really weird. They announced a remaster boot making of in Bowser's Inside Story. Like it's Bowser's Inside Story, but they're adding new stuff to it.
Which I was confused because I thought that was the one they just put out like a couple months ago. So I legitimately had like a moment of like, wait, didn't we literally just do this? But no, it's not. It's a different one. It was not like me trying to be like a snarky fuck. I legitimately was like, wait, okay, you're showing off the stuff that you've already.
I thought we did this already,
right? Like you're gonna be like, yeah, it's available now on the eShop. Yeah. It's been available for
that was the same thing too when they announced Luigi's Mansion. Because I was like, wait, that Luigi's Mansion was a new game. So they haven't done Luigi's Mansion. Okay.
So they're maybe not quite ready to do that virtual console stuff is what you're telling me.
I mean, hey, Luigi's Mansion, you know what I've always said about Luigi's Mansion? It would be awesome if they had a boss rush mode in it.
Yeah, that's what I play for my boss fights. They also announced like Captain Toad is coming out to the Switch and to the 3DS.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. It is the same game with some new stuff in it. Because they were like, remember how Captain Toad was in Mario Odyssey? And I was like, yeah, what does that have to do with anything? Like, are you going to have some like Mario Odyssey themed levels? I will totally play those. That sounds cool. It's just really weird how they phrased that.
Yeah.
Coming out, and then there's a new WarioWare game coming to 3DS as well.
Hey,
which
WarioWare
Gold or I forget what the
yeah, name. It's like all the best stuff they've put it out. Yeah, I'll bust out the 3DS for that. That could be fun.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Those Wario games are fun. It's weird. It's again like really weird. I think I said this before the show, but I don't think that Nintendo was prepared for the Switch to launch off the way that it did, because the fact that there are all of these 3DS games still coming out really seems to implicate that like maybe they didn't think that this thing was going to be a success and they were maybe hedging their bets a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it was a little weird. There wasn't anything from Metroid. There wasn't anything from the Yoshi game that's supposed to come out. Like both of those are, in theory, both of those are supposed to come out this year. Hard to say. Exactly. They also showed off some of that from the Mario Tennis, whatever. It's sure it's got some subtitle.
Aces.
Mario Tennis Aces, yeah. Which that looks really cool.
Yeah.
Mario Tennis, super cool. But yeah, that was a Nintendo Direct. We also oddly got a bunch of shooters announced at like all the same time. We had Black Ops 4 was officially revealed. And they...
Black Ops. No, you mean Black Ops
I. No. It's I think it was one of the Giant Bomb podcasts or something like that. It's not Roman numerals. It's like I, and the next one would be like the diagonal line to make a 5. It's you're counting like I've killed this many people. I / people is what. So that's very expected. We also had the Division 2 was announced as a real thing. I am definitely really excited to hear what that is because I like to be the Division.
Again, very expected.
Yep.
But, yeah.
And then we got the most expected thing, which was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, is actually a real thing after like 3 years of us knowing that Shadow of the Tomb Raider was the next Tomb Raider game. Not that long ago.
You guys didn't know?
No one knew this. No one
could have predicted it. No one could have predicted it.
Also, in Tomb Raider related news, apparently that Tomb Raider movie is hot garbage. I have not seen it.
I mean, it's a video game movie. So
yes,
I guess
but it has an Oscar award-winning Lara Croft in it. Could have been. It has Walter Goggins. Walter Goggins is awesome. I love Walter Goggins. He is like the most hateable, like, best actor in like Hollywood. He's just fantastic. anyways, that's my little mini rant. Yeah, so lots of like this year is starting to take shape. It'll we'll kind of get like the final form of it. Like when we get to like E3, but like we're starting to see like people are plotting plopping down their names like. Call of Duty's coming out in like October, which is like crazy because they almost always come out in November, but Red Dead's already staked November, I guess. So.
Oh yeah, there's also like the rumor of the new Battlefield game, or was that confirmed? The World War II one.
I do not know if it was actually confirmed. You're talking about Battlefield 2?
Battlefield 2, the second Battlefield game.
Battlefield II.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that is the thing, of course, hey, it worked for Call of Duty? ? Seems like it did.
The game seems like it was pretty successful.
Yeah. But then again, so did Battlefield 1. So, but World War II, that's that's where Battlefield made its name off of. I didn't play Battlefield games back in those days, but man, did I love me that Battlefield 1943 XBLA game that they put out. That game was super fun. I like that game a whole lot. So if we can pull back, really good. Obviously this would have Wake Island in it, and if it didn't, then that would be problems. But yeah, I we're starting to kind of see what 2018 is going to be after, we're still waiting some other ones like, Microsoft, for example, maybe still needs to announce something that's coming ever. We're about to lose one of their games because it comes out tomorrow with Sea of Thieves, and then we'll only have Crackdown, and there's a third one. What's the other one? Nope, I don't got it right now. There's another one in there, but I can't think of it. When they were talking about you get this if you get the Xbox Game Pass, there was 3 games that they were pointing to, and it was
was it Gears?
No, because they have.
I think they said that the Gears games were going to be there. I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't have it right now. But
most powerful console.
It's the most powerful console. Yes. Adam, it almost sounds like you said that with a little bit of.
Look, anytime that this thing takes like 5 minutes to load up the menus, I just sit there and quietly remind myself that it's the most powerful.
But all console. The teraflops, Adam. All the teraflops.
Yes, so many teraflops to take 5 minutes to load up. That menu
should go so much faster with all those teraflops.
To load up a list of games, and a couple of shitty JPEGs. It's incredible. The power that's behind those JPEGs is such that it's actually too fast for my TV to receive it. Is the problem there?
Yeah. Oh, it's the TV. Yeah, the TV. You need to get Microsoft branded TV. The TV X, They're calling it. All right, we need to get out of here. We're just rambling at this point. We do appreciate you guys listening. As I kind of talked about, we do have some reviews up on the website for Into the Breach from myself, and for Yakuza 6, The Song of Life from Adam. Those are both up on the website. You can check those out. That is pixelrelated.net. If you are listening to this elsewhere, you can find us on YouTube or Twitch under Pixel Related, and you can follow us on Twitter and hit us up on there at Pixel_related. As always, I'm Kyle. That was Adam, and we will see you next time.